Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, Managing Editor of Canada's Entrepreneur. Joining me today for Toronto's podcast is Zoey Shamai, who is founder of Tonica Kombucha. Thanks for joining us, Zoey.
Thanks for having me, Mario. Pleasure to be here.
So tell us just a little bit about the company and what you do.
Sure. So, my company's Tonica Kombucha. We make a delicious kombucha. Kombucha is a fermented tea that we, over the years, have made into a nice substitute for a soda. It's packed with probiotics, but we carbonate it. We have it very lightly sparkling with delicious flavors, low sugar. So, it's a great substitute for alcohol, for a sugary soda, but it's a functional beverage. So it's super, super good for digestion, for skin, and for hair. And we sell it, we make it here in Ontario, but we sell it across Canada.
And when did you start this?
So I actually started it 20 years ago. This is our 20th year in business back in 2006. And when I started kombucha, you can see the jar here. This is what kombucha looks like fermenting before it's packaged and marketed. When I started it, there was zero kombucha anywhere. Kombucha was a home craft. For centuries. It had been passed down in China and then through Russia and then eventually through the hippie counterculture to North America as a home brew for immune. So when I found it, I was studying yoga and I was living in a yoga ashram and everyone was making it. It was down in New Mexico. And it was the first time I had ever seen it. My mom says she used to make it, but I don't remember. But it was the first time I tried it. And it was so amazing instantly, like the next day for my digestion, that I fell in love with it, started making it, brought it back to Toronto. And that was the beginning of what was Tonica, which was the first kombucha brand in Canada. There was, now when you walk into stores, of course, you see a whole section in beautiful stores like our partners at Metro and Farm Boy and Sobeys and Loblaws. But back then, there was no kombucha. People had no idea what it was. And when they saw it or they saw the culture fermenting, they were very scared of it. So my goal was to start to make it for friends and family. It was never actually to have a business, but it just continued to grow and grow. And here we are today.
That jar looks familiar to me because I've got similar ones in my basement for red wine vinegar.
Exactly. Exactly.
So tell me, I would assume that you start making the stuff from your kitchen, or how did?
Yes, absolutely. I brought it back and I was teaching yoga classes in Toronto and waitressing. And so I had a tiny little bachelor apartment. We have one of the photos up on our Instagram of the early days. And I just was making it there. And what happened was I went to the restaurant where I was waitressing at. It was actually one of the first raw vegan restaurants in Toronto. It was called Live. It was also ahead of its time. And so I went to the owner and said, like, could you put this on the menu? Like it's fermented, it's living, so and it's vegan, it's in line with everything, but it tastes like a delicious soda or like an alcohol substitute. And so they put it on the menu, which was amazing. And from there, people started to ask if they could buy bigger bottles. And it sort of organically started to grow. Except for that, the first hitch was they decided after about 6 months, like, this is doing pretty well. You know what? We're going to make our own. So they told me they weren't going to do mine anymore. And my mother, who was also a health entrepreneur, who she actually innovated, pioneered with the first hemp CPG company in Canada, Roots Hemp Foods. She's an avid entrepreneur, way more than I am. And she said, you know what? Come with me to one of the trade shows and bring your kombucha. And everyone who likes it and tries it, get them to sign up like a petition and say if it was in stores, they would buy it. So I got all these signatures and I went to the biggest health store in Toronto at that time, Noah's. And I asked him if he would, look at all these people who will buy it. Would you put it on your menu or on your store? And he said, if you get insurance, I'll do it. So that's how it started.
Wow. So where is it all made now?
So now we have a 12,000 square foot facility up in Woodbridge. So here in Ontario. And then we work with brokers and distributors across Canada. And our main operation, though, I have an incredible team of staff and production in the office. We're here in Woodbridge.
And how many different flavors do you have?
So we have about 10 different flavors right now. We have variations in our glass and in our cans. And then we also do private label for two wonderful Ontario chains that you're probably very familiar with. So we do a whole bunch of different flavors for them as well. And up until now, we've always just done kombucha. And my goal was to make kombucha not a health food, but to make it so delicious that anyone would enjoy it as a regular soda. And that's how we've gotten into these major retail stores, because the flavor profile of our kombucha is a lot lighter. It's a lot smoother than a lot of our competition that has some really strong, more like you were saying, you fermented your vinegar. But ours is very a light flavor profile. And then we combine. So this is a lemonade. Call it lemonade twist. And the twist is that it tastes like lemonade, but it's kombucha. And the color is actually from a really incredible antioxidant ingredient, which is blue-green algae. So we put that in there for the color, but what you taste is just a sparkling lemonade, but you're getting all these incredible benefits.
Very cool. So are you the one that comes up with the concoctions or the different flavors?
I am. I have an amazing team now, but I'm still the only owner and operator of Tonica. I have all the hats at different times. So right now, though, I have an incredible QA team, and so we together develop new flavors. But from the beginning, I would say our first 6 flavors, they're definitely things that I wanted to make.
Okay, so I don't know if you can answer this question, but how much kombucha do you think you make every year?
Oh, a lot. We pack up about 1,000 cases a day, and we run all through the week. We do different formats, not pictured here, but we have liter bottles, we have small bottles, we have cans, we do kegs. We also do white label. So we have done radlers with some of the beer companies, and we ship them kombucha and they mix it in. So yeah.
Okay. And can you talk just a little bit, obviously from when you first were introduced to this drink, and obviously over the years you've come to know it well and probably done a lot of research on it, et cetera, et cetera. What's the benefits of this?
Of kombucha.
Why have we seen such an explosion out there by consumers wanting to have this?
It's a great question. So the benefits are mainly for digestive health. When the kombucha ferments, and it's similar to, say, a sourdough or a homemade yogurt or a kimchi, when it ferments, the kombucha culture, it looks like a pink watery pancake when it's at its end. But before that, there are thousands of small cultures, and they actually metabolize the sugar and the tea. And as they eat those sugar and tea, the byproduct are these living enzymes and gluconic acid. So enzymes are essential for our digestion. And as we age, the enzymes in our body die off. So we do need a lot more foods that are good for our gut. And, we've seen the explosion even before COVID. When I started bringing kombucha to stores, there was no kombucha category. It was nowhere. Now you walk in and you see shelves and shelves filled. And what happened was, I think, as baby boomers started to age and the generations after, they became so much more educated about the foods that they eat would be essential to the health that they had every day. So yes, we have Western medicine, but if we don't want to get to the place where we're reliant on all of these external medications and our health is an issue, it's really important, along with exercise, that we eat healthy things. So I think when that started to happen and they started to realize, wow, the gut microbiome is so important to the way our brain functions and our whole immunity and body.
Yeah.
Foods like kombucha that are fermented and have living enzymes that will come in and help you digest your food. They help you. For instance, when I started drinking it, Mario, I was a yogi. I was a vegetarian. I was in my 20s, 20 years ago. And I thought I was pretty healthy, but I couldn't really eat a lot of cheese or bread because it would make me feel a little bit uncomfortable, bloated. And that's why when I had that first glass of kombucha and then started to realize if I drink this with these foods that I love to eat but aren't great in my body, my digestion is so much better. So it's one of those practical things. And I think that's how I've grown Tonica, because I've never brought on external investment, but the customers feel it. They love it. They come back for more and more.
Hey, now I understand you were on Dragon's Den at one time.
Yes, that's right.
How was that?
It was great. It was great. I actually was on twice. They had me on in 2012, and I had a great, successful episode. And in the end, Arlene Dickinson and Kevin O'Leary and Jim Treleving, they all offered me a deal.
Oh,
and
cool.
I ended up on the show. I went with Jim and Kevin. But after the show and to due diligence, I realized I really didn't want to have them as partners. And thank goodness I did, because to this day, I'm still the only owner of Tonica. But then in 2016, they had me back as a success follow-up to say, she didn't take the deal, but look where she is now. And they came to our facility. But the Dragon's Den, it was so incredible for us because it really opened the door. We had Metro reach out. They've been an incredible partner all these years. Then Shoppers Drug Mart, Farm Boy, we have wonderful local support we've had from day one, like Healthy Planet and Ambrosia, Nature's Emporium. But to get into those big doors, it really, I think, was Dragon's Den that helped open the door to the awareness of these stores that hey, this is something we should have. Our customers will like this.
Ah, cool. Yeah. Why do you think the brand has grown so much over 20 years? And maybe why, what's been the reasons for its growth?
Okay, well, I think in tandem with the category, like I was saying, there was kind of a big shift. I was just very lucky that people started to realize how important gut health was. And at the same time, I had a lot of time to just organically grow my company from this small Mickey Mouse operation where I would literally deliver on my bicycle, but case by case. And I had years to put everything I sold back into the business. That was my business model. And so part of the reason why I think we've grown and grown so well is because, I didn't go beyond my means at a certain time when I couldn't. And I actually, almost out of innocence, I didn't really have a plan to grow it into such a big company. I just preferred making it to teaching classes and riding my bike in the snow. So I think it grew naturally that way. By the time it started to hit mainstream and I went on Dragon's Den, I had the operations down. I'd created a lot of really great systems and formulas. But really, it's grown because of all of us who drink Tonica and drink kombucha and who really love the benefits. Because in the early days, for the first 10 years, there wasn't anything to put into advertising or even pay myself. So it was really just customer loyalty, repeat customers buying more and it growing, and the incredible retail partners that helped us grow.
So what year did you move from the kitchen into a facility?
So I've had 5 different facilities, every time we expand up. So the first year would have been in 2009 was my first facility.
Okay.
And then over the years continued until this one that we're in now, which we moved into 2018. And we're starting to get close to outgrowing it too. And we're about to launch a bunch of innovation, not kombucha for the first time. So that's really exciting. So we'll see if we need another one.
Yeah, cool. So tell me, from a business perspective, starting a business as an entrepreneur, what was your biggest challenge?
Oh, I think the biggest challenge was like there's always two. It's like the practical and then the energetic. So I think, the practical was figuring out how to make kombucha because it was not done anywhere. There are a lot of people who make beverages you buy in stores, they are co-packing it. So there's like a big co-packer who will do lots of different brands and they have all the machines. But nobody wanted to touch kombucha because of the bacteria in it. And
Yeah.
I went to co-packers, I went to beer makers, I went to everyone. Nobody was interested. So the challenge was figuring out how do I scale up this very delicate process. It's easy to make, a couple of batches, but if you want to scale it to volume and you have forecasts and numbers to meet and POs to send out,
Yeah.
that was one of the biggest challenges. I would say the other challenge, honestly, as an entrepreneur, and I think in general, and I think especially with women, this comes up a lot, just trusting yourself, trusting your judgment, trusting that, your intuition is going to guide you. And so for me, one of meditation from my yoga practice all these years, the meditation has been really essential daily just to help me focus because you get so much information. There's so many staff, there's so many consultants and people you're working with. And so sometimes what you hear here isn't what you're feeling. So it's been really to tune into that and trust my instincts about making the right choices and learning from the bad ones and reviewing like what happened there. And often it was like, I didn't have a good feeling about that, but I did it anyway. And this way, okay, let's try to course correct next time.
So how long have you been doing yoga?
I've been doing yoga since I was 19. So now we don't want to give my age, but we know it's definitely over 20 years.
So how did you get into that and why?
Well, I first got into it. I went to university out at Simon Fraser University in BC. And a friend of mine in the summer said, there's this free yoga class you should go check out.
Ah,
And I said, sure, free sounds good. So I went over to the yoga class and it was this yoga called Kundalini yoga.
I,
So a little bit, have you heard of it?
yeah,
Okay. So,
yoga in my youth. No.
oh, really? What kind of yoga did you do?
The regular straightforward yoga.
Okay. Asanas, holding postures and
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, so this yoga was a little bit different because everything was breath work and movement. So
Oh,
you would like move your arms with a certain breath and I felt so incredible. It was like feeling, like you're on a substance or something, but you're just on your breath. So it was so great and I decided after 1 year of university, I thought this is good, but I like the yoga better. So I went down to live in New Mexico at that ashram.
oh wow. Cool. And are you vegetarian?
I'm not currently vegetarian,
Yeah.
no, but I was for many years. I've been tried a lot of different things, and I felt like at different ages, different things worked.
Yeah.
Now I have a little protein, but I'm careful about the amounts of protein because it does take a lot for the body to digest. Of
Yeah.
course, the kombucha helps.
Yeah. Uh, okay. So I'm just curious now, when you look back at the 20 years, was there a kind of like an aha moment for you that you recall that you thought, you know what, this is actually going to do something, this business?
It took a while because, like I said, I really wasn't focused on that.
Yeah.
And I was so always focused on systems. I like systems and organization. So it was always like, how can I make this more efficient? How can I use this space better? How can I do this faster? And um, I would always reach out to people around me in different industries for advice. And they would give me advice. And so it was growing, it was growing, it was growing. And I think, honestly, I think it took a really long time for me to believe it was a real business. Even when it was my full-time job, I didn't know, like, is this going to be my life journey? Like, is this it? And I don't know if there was one aha moment, I have to say, but there certainly was, there have been huge milestones. Like when we got our first big listing was Whole Foods. So Whole Foods listed us, and I had my girlfriends come in for the weekend, and they helped because suddenly we had to bottle so much kombucha. And when we shipped it out, I was like, oh my gosh, we're in like a national like health food store. This is incredible.
Yeah. Oh, excellent. Excellent. What do you, before you had this experience at the ashram and everything, what do you think, or what were your thoughts at that time of what you were going to do, career wise, that?
I feel like I was like so many youth today and always, and I didn't know. I really didn't know. I loved teaching yoga, but I had gone to acting school. I had gone to clothing design school at George Brown. I had so many different possibilities, but the yoga really helped me focus. And I feel like it brought in the kombucha because literally that's where I found it. But before that, I felt a little confused. And starting to do the yoga and the meditation, I realized, you know what? It's just listen. It's going to become known. I'll know where to put my energy in. And that's what happened. It just became easier to make kombucha. People started to help. Things started to grow. People wanted more. And I was like, okay, this is working.
Yeah. All right then. Okay. Well, thanks so much, Zoey, for joining us today.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure, Mario. Thank you for asking me all about the Tonica journey and letting me share it with all your listeners. And I hope if anyone has, a dream of a craft that they love, even if it's not their full-time thing, that they give it a shot, because if they're making something beautiful and wonderful that they feel good about and they can share it and people like it, that could be maybe what they're meant to do. Bring that to the market, just like I brought kombucha to Canada.
Excellent. Thanks so much. That was Zoey Shamai, who is founder of Tonica Kombucha. I'm Mario Tonaguzzi with Canada's Entrepreneur. Thanks for joining us today.